the Mindful Living, where we dive into stories, tools, and conversations that awaken our well being and empower conscious living. I'm your host, Sana, and today we are entering a powerful space where mindfulness meets sensuality, energy meets embodiment, and sexuality becomes a pathway to deeper liberation. Our guest, Hani Chang, she is a transformational coach and multidimensional healer based in Singapore. She bridges shamanic practices, Tantra, quantum tech, and leadership principles to help individuals reclaim their sensual power and break through emotional and energetic blocks. Now, listeners, today's conversation is a bit different. Yeah, it's about energy, but it's also about how mindfulness, energy interact with, rather intersect with sexuality, an area that's often charged, misunderstood, or overlooked when it comes to the mindful living. So let's open up the space with curiosity and compassion, listeners. So, Honey, welcome to the show, and it is as always such an honor to have you with us.
It's always such a pleasure to be here. If you haven't watched our thing on another channel yet, you should definitely also hop over. I forgot what that channel was, but Sana is a host of many shows, and I'm so excited to be here again.
Great. So we have actually 15 channels. So it's I know it can be really, really difficult to remember the names of all of them. But yeah, thank
Oh,
you very much.
Confluence, Cosmic Confluence was the last time we met.
Yeah.
Yes, so we can drop our episode there in the notes for you if you want to continue the journey with us, getting to know each other across the podcasts.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for the shout out. So now let's talk about, so if we have 15 shows, I mean, you are working with over 33 healing modalities to support people on their journey toward sensual liberation. So that is incredible, honey, incredible. So can you share, I mean, what brought you into this work? I mean, and how uh, did you um, come to know about mindfulness? What exactly do you think it is about, and how important is it? So there are three questions into that. So yeah.
You're gonna have to guide me through each one in case I forget one of them. How did I get into mindfulness? Mindfulness I started in 2008. So I was actually in the Drucker School of Management in Claremont,
Mm.
and I was learning and studying with executive leaders at that time in an MBA course. And mindfulness was actually what helped my teacher, my professor, overcome cancer. And so when doctors didn't work and he was doing cancer rehabilitation, and mindfulness helped him to do that. He realized that actually mindfulness techniques didn't only apply in personal life, but it also applies in life that is a lot about um, managing yourself and managing your mind. At that time, I was smoking cigarettes, and I used mindfulness as a tool to overcome addiction and to alleviate my mind from needing a relief through nicotine. And so that was one of the pathways. The second thing was I was overthinking a lot, paranoia or just overachieving, wanting to perform beyond my capabilities as any student does at that age. And then at that time, mindfulness really helped me to quieten my thoughts. So it wasn't always so self critical or pressurizing to need to grow into a person that I didn't quite know. And so that was the area in which mindfulness existed at that time. So um, mindfulness is also about being happy with everything that you have in the moment, and that really, really allowed me to be grateful for what I had in my life instead of always chasing the future or ruminating about the past of what I've lost or what I still want. It allowed me to be present, and I thought that was such a beautiful way to embody that concept of contentness. And compassion was a big aspect of mindfulness that I understood through studying with Thich Nhat Hanh in San Diego at Deer Park. And the Buddhist sort of mindfulness technique of compassion is a version of being satisfied with the status quo in a world where we're pressured to always go for something better, grow deeper, heal more. It is about accepting where we are. And it's the ultimate form of self love. Of course, over the course of 20 years, you grow in your understanding of what mindfulness is, and you grow in your understanding of what is compassion because we have so many voices in our heads. And mindfulness also helps me distinguish all the voices so that every single voice has a speech bubble and also a character. So I understand where they're from. And sometimes when new voices come up, having new ways to label them, it helps really, really understand myself and how I react in chaos or how I react in under pressure, how I react when really, really, really high pressure, high intensity, and high stress situations happen, or even in a motorcycle accident when I broke my foot and I broke my bone. Mindfulness helped me stay calm and just understand what to do next and what to do next. And then I still had to do a whole yoga teacher training with 200 over hours of practice with a broken foot. And mindfulness gave me the resilience to finish that, even though I broke my foot. So I learned how to see the every situation from a bigger perspective. So that's answering the first question, right? What's the second and third?
Why they are so critical, crucial when it comes to sexuality?
Oh, yes, sexuality. Okay. So, sexuality is one of the best places for you to practice mindfulness because we rush into sexuality as a teenager with raging hormones. When you are so infatuated with your first love, you forget mindfulness and you forget that there's so many other aspects in which you can be present. When you're looking into each other's eyes, instead of rushing to kiss something, you can slow down and actually be present with the person, right? Like when the food shows up on your table, you wait until everybody else has food before you start eating or you eat together, right? You don't just like rush into it. And so mindfulness during sexuality starts all the way from the beginning of your conversation when you're looking into each other's eyes and breathing. Literally, like one Tantra massage client yesterday was sharing with me that I asked him, he said, Honey, you asked me what I was looking for when I signed up for the session. And he was sitting with me and we had been eye gazing for about 10 minutes. And he said, you know, this is what I was looking for. And I didn't know this is what I was looking for, but it's this feeling. And I said, this feeling is the feeling of you're almost high. You're in a psychedelic state of awareness. Your awareness is expanded. It's as if you were taking LSD or some sort of psychoactive psychedelic and you're completely sober. And it's to be able to tap into that aspect of wholeness and oneness. And in his eyes, we saw each other's divinity, which is part of Tantra. And or even Buddhism, and like you see the Buddha and one another, and in that moment everything just clicked and you feel like you're part of this bigger world and you feel it. It brings tears to your eyes. It's a moment of truth, it's a moment of pure love, and that's what's possible. And this is a complete stranger, and he said it's so nice because it's non-sexual and yet it's so profound and it's so beautiful. And that's what he was looking for. He was looking for this aspect of connection with oneness and with through himself, right? And it is practiced and it's really easy to access that mindfulness and that space if you're with someone who already knows how to get there. Just like if you were to climb a mountain in a really, I don't know, weird place and there's no road and you had a guide, they can take you through all the ups and downs in it. And then eventually you get to the top and come back down and go back to your car safely. And so mindfulness also requires you can do it by yourself and you can also have a guide to help you to experience what it feels like it, to put all of your thoughts away and to be really, really 100% here. It's a practice, it's an exercise. So, sexuality, how that comes in is even when you're having sex, it is very important to connect to your breath. It is very important to connect to your genitals. It is very important to not ignore any stimulation that is outside, but also not get lost into the stimulation. You want to have a mindful observer eye to watch the whole thing so that you're not lost in it and you're not doing everything only based on primal desires. Even though primal desire is beautiful, you want to be able to have the skill to pivot between mindfulness and holding love, going into primality, and then coming out and going into primal, and then always making sure that you're progressing in the same level of intensity as the other person is ready for.
Mhm. So it definitely helps in um understanding those subtle cues from our body, you know.
Yeah. So mindfulness is for example, if you're doing a body scan, right?
Mhm.
Mindfulness is understanding when there's a little flutter in your shoulder or maybe a little flutter in your butt, and your butt actually wants to be touched. And then you can communicate that mindfully with your partner. And through that, there is a place of non judgment. One of the key pillars of mindfulness that I teach in corporates, a bunch of lawyers or whatever professionals, like we always talk about the pillars, which includes non judgment, this openness, compassion, the ability to hold space for anything, right? It's an observer perspective. And so if you hold space for sensation and feelings and emotion and you can be with it without needing it to go anywhere, then sexuality just flows. It's flow. You're not pushing it, you're not pulling it, you're not manipulating the sexuality. It is simply there and it has a life of its own. It's like a river and water. You don't need to push the water through the river to make it flow. It just does.
That's absolutely, that's beautifully put, honey. Beautiful put. And what about these energetic boundaries? In the realm of sexuality, whether in relationships or self exploration, how can someone stay mindful of their energetic boundaries? Without and avoid this, feeling of depleted or overwhelmed.
Yes. So you have to be very, very, very clear about who you are energetically. So if I am Honey and you are Sana, and Sana comes with all of these different aspects, right? She's
Mhm.
curious, she is optimistic. I'm just putting words out there. It might be true, might not. What I observed of you in like our previous 30 minutes, in a different podcast in Cosmic Confluence, I noticed that you're positive, you're open minded, you like growing, you get excited about new ideas. Now that's you, right? That's part of you. There's other
Mhm.
parts too. And so when you start noticing, let's say if someone super negative comes into your space is trying to drain you or like being themselves, and you notice that you're sort of like deviating from who you are, like you're like, oh, I'm actually getting more depressed, or like I feel very tired. I'm not interested in my guests anymore, or like I feel like it's a drag to like schedule them, or like I'm not like feeling that the questions are flowing, and like, there's things are starting to get harder and harder, as if you're like walking through mud and you're like quicksand and you're sinking. Then you're like, wait, hold on a second. This is not my energy. So, is there another energy that's in my system right now? And sometimes, people who unconsciously are actually they can't impose their energy on another person because they want the other person to understand them, and then in the process of us understanding them, we pick up their energy and we're not clearing it. And it's as if, like, you got paint, you're having a painting class, and they painted, like, a big black streak on your body, and you haven't washed it off yet, so it's still all over you. And so if you don't clean it out and you don't refresh and purify your energy, then you're just walking around absorbing every person's energy all around you on the bus, on the way to work. If you're living in a very busy city, like everyone's energy is like collective energy. You can be sucking that up too without knowing. Every time you watch the news, it could be creating a energy of, oh my gosh, the world is falling apart if it's sharing about something pretty intense and dangerous, or something that ignites fear, right? The energy of fear is very all consuming. The energy of scarcity. Oh, can I afford this, or can I not afford to leave? Like, this thing. If we're talking about finances, the fear of like being penniless and losing your job or losing money security, it could be like overwhelming, and that drains us if we get stuck in that energy field, and that's not who we really are. We talk about the infinite being in my course, Sensual Liberation program. And it's really about remembering that we are the creators of our universe. We are the creators of our sexuality. We are the creators of our confidence. And so when you notice that other people are imposing their energy on you, or you're sucking it up because it's somehow easier to have the collective thought than have your individual true perspective of something, then you're like, wake up, right? The moment you notice it's not you, you gotta wake up and you gotta let go of the stuff that's not you. Gotta identify it. So the yummy process, which is your unique magnetic momentum. I have a book called You Only Live Once, which talks about all that. Is step one, notice that this is not you. Notice, get clear with what is it that you want. And then step two is realizing what is it that you don't want, what's in your field that you don't want. Step three is clear it with our energy work, yummy transformational process, which we teach in video 1 of the SLP program, which is free actually, so you'll get the video. And then the last step, clearing it, and then you receive what you want, because if you can clear negative energy, you can also receive positive energy. And the mindfulness aspect is knowing when to switch out of it.
That is really, really, it's definitely, I think, every day, every moment, sometimes somewhere, in our lives, we feel that, this is not our energy. It's kind of, it has kind of, hijacked into our body or into our mind. So that is fortunately, unfortunately true. And honey, also, some people, they feel that blending mindfulness or the spiritual practices with sexuality, it risks diluting the sacredness of either. So how would you respond to those who believe that this these should remain separate?
What is the definition of sacredness? Let me see.
Okay. Let me Google as well.
Yeah, so sacred is sacred, the adjective, dedicated to or set apart for the worship of a deity, worthy of religious veneration, made or declared holy. Okay, so it's not very helpful. Let's see what holy means definitively. It means to belonging to, derive from, or associated with a divine power.
Mhm, mhm,
So that is what sacred is, right?
mhm,
Sexuality is sacredness, right?
mhm,
It is literally you're working with creation to create love, which is the ultimate form of what Jesus or God or Krishna or Buddha, right? Love is the ultimate gift
mhm,
from all of your deities. And so through the other person, in Tantra, we look at the divine in the other person and how that person is connected to God
mhm,
itself, Krishna or Buddha, or
mhm,
right, whatever is divine in them. And
mhm,
so when you're looking past this physical body, you're looking past your urges, you're looking past your worldly hungers, you're seeing the purity of the other person. And in this moment, you are connected to that space. Like that what I shared earlier with my client, like he was connected to that space. And in that moment, there's almost no sex that's necessary. You are in that space of pure acceptance and pure love. And that is sometimes people have sex to get to that space.
Mm,
Sometimes you get to that space without penetration. And the idea is the same. It's to be fully connected to the divine. And if you can see sex as a way of worship, to give this pleasure that God has given you back
mm,
to God and the divine, then why not? Right. And you're doing it with intention. You're doing it with, you can before your ritual, which we talk about in module 5 of our program, you can decide with your partner that you're going to give this and you're going to offer. This is an offering, right? It's the way to see each other in pure love and to share this vibration back to where it came from. We always have a closing ceremony after each sex act with our partners. And the closing ceremony is like, what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, and what's left over is going back to the divine. So we give the extra energy that we created in this beautiful love and we offer it back as an offering to the divine. We also clear our energies before we take it back so that, like you said, we don't
mm,
drain each other. So if the draining happens in sexual activity when the guy wants more or the girl wants more than the other person is willing to give. You have to meet each other at the correct amount of how much you want to give and how much you want to receive. If either one person is giving too much or receiving too much or receiving too little or giving too little, then that balance is off. So you have to constantly check in to be able to make sure that it's energetically clean. Because if you're too selfish or too giving, too generous, it will leave an unbalance. And one person will feel more drained than the other person. Even if you don't give enough, some people are like, I want to please my woman, and they don't get to do that. Then that also drains their energy. So it's like, and so they have to actually talk to their woman and be like, I actually have I really wanna do this more for you, and then if she's like, "Well, I don't really need that right now, and I don't want that," and then it's no longer a gift to her. It's like he needs to satisfy his desire to give, and it's about him again. It's no longer about her because she doesn't want that, right? And so it's always this balance of, is giving a true gift? Are you giving it to them? Whether and if they don't want it, then you shift your gift. What would you actually like? What would make you feel full? Would words of affirmation make you feel loved? Um would an act of service make you feel loved? What if I just told your vagina how beautiful she was? Would that make you feel loved? And so you have to switch up instead of just being fixated on, okay, I need to do oral right now. So in order to not be drained, you need to match what you're giving to what they're wanting and vice versa. They need to receive what you're giving, and if they don't like it, then they need to tell you so that you can change so that it can be exactly what they want. And the closer and the more accurate, this is about accuracy, precision, the more precise you are and the more present you are, the better quality your love is.
mm. That is so true. That is so true. I agree with you, Hani. Great, great. So if of course if our listeners would like to connect with you, Hani, what how they can do that?
So we have all of this stuff in this beautiful, beautiful program called Central Liberation Program that all of you are invited to. We have a 4-part video series that you can click on Tantra, so https://tantrasingapore.com/intimacy dash coaching backslash. And there you'll find it. And then you can also find me on YouTube at Hani Chang and then on Instagram at Hani Abundance.
Great. We'll have the links and the details in the show notes. And Hani, thank you for bringing such wisdom, depth, and groundedness to this conversation. And I really, really admire how you blend sexuality and mindfulness because this is something which can be judged too quickly, but what I feel is it's so nuanced and it is so beautiful. It is such a beautiful intersection. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. What did you find that was, like, super interesting or something you hadn't considered before?
I yeah, I looked at from the perspective that yes, you feel in those moments, you you get some kind of feelings that you may never had before having sex, especially for the first time. But then there are there's a intricate dance of energies of both the partners out there, and there's kind of an equilibrium which you need to attain to have the beautiful balance of energies, and then also give back the remainder energy to the universe or the higher force or power, whatever it is. So that is something which really, really kind of interests me to explore more about mindfulness and sexuality.
For sure. Yeah, I feel like for module 5, we actually talk about everything that you need to prepare to make this very, very sacred and very, very holy. So we do, like, before sex, we have a whole preparation process, middle and end, and then after as well. So we take care of each element to make sure that everything is held in a very safe and very intentional container. And then module 3 is about communication, and 4 is about expanding pleasure, and then 1 is about breath work, the mindfulness breath work. Breath work is mindfulness, right? The breathing meditation on how to circulate arousal. So it's so connected to mindfulness, the type of sex that's transcendental. If you're wanting to use sex to get closer to God, like, this is um it is mindfulness.
Mm. And to all of my mindful listeners, so mindfulness isn't just about what happens in your head or probably in your meditation cushion or mat, but it is about how you inhabit your whole being, including your sensual self. So, with that, just connect with Hani. I'll have all the links in the show notes. And if this conversation sparks something within you, reach out, explore, and remember that your journey to wholeness is yours to claim. Thank you.